And this is where it got scary. I got so high that I kind of almost became Republican at that moment because it
Oh
was like,
boy.
oh, I was like, oh, it's like bringing jobs back here is pretty good. That's not a bad plan of action.
All of
Yeah.
what you just said. The
Hmm.
one thing that registered with me was when you were mentally impaired is when you were like, I agree with Republicans. Your mental faculties were non-existent, bro. You got blitzed out of your mind. You went straight back to caveman brain and was like, you know what? Maybe Republicans are right.
Welcome to Friends Party in Hell. And on today's segment of The World is Broken, we're going to talk about the tariffs. We're going to talk about Trump's gold card and what that means for the economy. And I'm joined today with my really good bestest friend, my mathematician, Anthony. And let's get into it. I've been watching the news and like the tariffs and like all this stuff, and I don't get like I'm not I don't
Yeah.
have an understanding of the economy in that to that respect, right? I just know things get
No.
expensive. I understand like the basic model, and you tell me too
Yeah.
if correct me if I'm wrong about stuff too. So we have both you and I have a mutual friend, and she works in exporting and importing, and I was talking to her on the second or the first. I can't remember. Yeah, I think on the first, and it was like she said, "Yeah, he's not gonna do anything today because of the April Fool's thing or whatever."
I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to be accused of April Fool's Day. April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in.
One of the questions I did ask though was like, "What the purpose of it? Like, what is the actual end? What is the fucking end game of this?"
Hmm.
And there's obviously like one of the things and this is where it got scary. I got so high that I kind of almost became Republican at that moment because it
Oh
was like,
boy.
oh, I was like, oh, it's like bringing jobs back here is pretty good. That's not a bad plan of action. So I started kind of
Wow,
like, I
man.
started reverting, and I
Wow.
was just like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound bad. But then I had to like check myself. I'm like, wait a minute, you're really high right now, and that
Yeah.
is a bad idea because that means everything's gonna get really expensive. Like it's unsustainable. It's like an unsustainable plan that's happening.
What
Um,
I just heard through all of that, all of
yeah.
what you just said, the
Hmm.
one thing that registered with me was when you were mentally impaired is when you were like, I agree with Republicans. Your mental faculties were non-existent, bro. You got blitzed out of your mind. You went straight back to caveman brain and was like, you know what? Maybe Republicans are right.
All right. This so during my high phase, and I guess this is
Hmm.
like the point that we're trying to get through with our conversation. What the hell does this? What is it? What is the end game for this shit? You mentioned something a while ago, so I've been
Oh
kind
yeah.
of talking about that to people that I've had this conversation with. But has your view changed on? Do you know what I'm talking about? That you
I know what you're
stated.
talking about. No,
Yeah.
my view has not changed on it. It's
Okay.
it's 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 gotten more solid actually. I feel
Mm.
more solidified with what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the what you told to me what you told me was like that a lot of this feels like purposely tanking the economy for the rich to buy up the assets and for us to be
Yes.
more entrenched in debt and everything else.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
kind of really the gist of it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Future Anthony here, and I'm editing, and I realized I did not answer Rudy's question here. So, what Rudy's referring to is my thought process behind what I think the reason for the $5 million Trump gold card is, how it ties into the economy, and why Trump keeps bringing up tariffs and tanking the stock market.
Here's the thing though. Why would Trump tank the economy on the second with these tariffs, and we all watched it. The Dow, everything went down. Why would he do that? And then the very next day, come out and say, "Hey, here's a $5 million gold card for all rich foreign investors who want to come into this country." Why would he do that? It's a fast pass, guys. He is selling Costco cards to America, but instead of getting discounted goods and services at Costco, you're going to get discounted businesses, homes, real estate in America. It's not that hard to see. It's not. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back to the video.
Can we fathom people just being that cruel for no reason, or like what is the like it was just kind of like this thing of like, is that really like really the end? Like, is that the end game? And it's really almost kind of unfathomable because it's like it's destructive. Like
But
that is
here's the
going to
thing:
destroy this country.
it is
And it's not.
destructive.
That's not.
It's not unfathomable to anyone who lives in a country that has had recent strife, recent
Mhm.
real problems. I could think of a few right off the top of my head. Right?
Mhm.
It's not unfathomable. It's not unfathomable to them. It's
Yeah.
unfathomable to us because we're cushy, happy, fat Americans. Right? We got the boob
Mhm.
tube. We got 10 different subscriptions that we can sign up to sit down in
Mhm.
front of a box and just watch and let our minds drift away. Like, it's not unfathomable at all, bro. Like, it's
Mhm.
happening right in front of you
Mhm.
to the point where Fox News yesterday, when Trump was unveiling this gold card
Mhm.
and they were talking about this, they took the Dow Jones ticker off because they don't want people to do what I recommended in the last video when we talked about this was when they're
Go look at
talking,
that
when they're
thing. Yeah.
yeah, have a ticker side by side. And what did I say then? What did I say then? I said have you go to a website, have your own ticker because if you're watching on Fox News, they about to stop showing it. And
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
they're not showing it anymore.
Okay. So you tank the economy. You get richer
Hmm.
because you buy everything up.
Yep.
You have more. Not only just like but you literally do have more material wealth because you start
Oh yeah.
owning actual things.
Yeah. Yep.
Um. Okay. Now, what's I guess my question is these companies that are losing
Hmm.
money, right? You're saying don't watch
Yeah.
like watch the ticker, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you make enemies of that too, right? Like, because they're losing money. Like the people, we're the side effects that we're gonna see are something completely different than losing
Sure.
stock and money
Sure.
and value in our company, whatever. But what happens to that? The business sector, like, do they get? They're like, fuck this. We're like leaving
Uh,
the United. Like, what ends up happening when they're
I
hemorrhaging
think
money? What happens with Apple's hemorrhaging money? You know what I
what
mean? Like
happens
that's
when Apple is hemorrhaging money
yeah.
is what happens when anybody in a position of privilege and power starts to feel the effects of something. They use
Mm-hmm.
their money to get out of it. So I I think okay, here tinfoil hat moment. All right, full disclosure. All right, this is super tinfoil.
Let's put
But
on the tinfoil hat music.
yes, cue it up. All right, so tinfoil hat moment. I feel like that's what Elon's real role in the government is. That's why Elon's willing to take a hit with his Tesla stock. He's willing to be the look, guys, richest man in the world, and I'm buying into this. If you buy into it, you will also be okay. We will take care of you. It's going to be fine. Don't worry. I am one of you, and I have our best interest at heart. Because if I'm making money up here, y'all can make money. Y'all can make money too. Just what side do you want to be on? That I mean, think about it. Why do you think Facebook flipped so quickly? Why do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, TikTok. TikTok went through a whole dog and pony show to feign death and then be resurrected by God Trump himself.
Mm,
Why do you think they did that? Why do you think it's hard to find certain keywords and search terms, and why have anybody who participates in TikTok right now, why when you try to spread any kind of opinion that goes against the fucking administration, why is your video flagged? Why can it no longer be? They don't even want your money, bro. They don't even want you to pay to promote it. They will tell you, no, this has political content. That's it. Political content. Not that it has derogatory language. Not that it has nudity. Not that it has, it's inflammatory. Just political discourse. But you're seeing a lot of right wing propaganda, though. So it's a certain type of political discourse. You see what I'm saying? Why do you think these companies are on board, right? So what happens to the Ben and Jerry's of the world, the Costco CEOs of the world, those guys? I think that's your question. What happens
mm,
to them? The people who say no, we're not going to roll back DEI practices because it's made our workplace way more inclusionary. It's made us feel like, hey, just because we've accumulated a lot of money, it doesn't mean we have to turn our backs on the society that we rely on. Right? Those guys. There's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. I stake my life on that. I don't believe there's any such thing as an ethical billionaire. But the Ben and Jerry's of the world, that these are the as close as you're gonna get. So what happens to them? Whatever Elon says happens to them, bro. Elon does not give a fuck. You're with me or you're against me. And the companies, I mean, you might as well consider Ben and Jerry. I know it's a big conglomerate, and they're owned by a huge. I forget the name of it, but they're owned by a huge conglomerate that wants them to to stop being so radically progressive, right? And so Ben and Jerry's is actually trying to sue their way out of that deal because they're like, no, we're not going to stop doing that. So what happens when they're no longer under that umbrella of the company that's obviously kneeling to Musk and to Trump? They're gonna if we don't keep them in business, they are gonna be bled the fuck dry. They're gonna go away, and they won't be able to use their money for impactful change. Tinfoil hat off.